Good day and welcome to another episode of What's Happening Today, presented to you by Rapido News Network. In our first story, we will discuss President Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia as US gasoline prices continue to surge. Next, we will talk about Mr. Biden calling on the US lawmaker to pass gun control legislations. And in our final story, we will talk about the Russian Ukrainian conflict. So let's get started. In our first story, we will discuss the possibility that President Joe Biden is likely to visit Saudi Arabia later this month as part of an international trip for NATO and Group of Seven or G7 meetings, according to people familiar with the matter. With record high US gas prices weighing on his party's political prospect, traveling to Saudi Arabia would mean Biden would almost inevitably meet with its effective ruler, that is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, whom the US president blames for the 2018 murder of a US-based columnist in the kingdom's Istanbul consulate. The people familiar with the matter saying only that a Saudi Arabia trip was likely, without confirming the meeting with the Crown Prince. They asked not to be identified because President Biden's travel plan haven't been finalized yet. President Joe Biden is expected to attend a NATO summit in Madrid and a G7 meeting in Munich at the end of the month. Early in Mr. Biden's presidency, the White House said he would deal directly only with Saudi Arabia's official head of state, that is King Salman bin Abdulaziz, a stub of a crown prince or known as MBS, who controls most lever of the power in the kingdom. But pressure has grown on Mr. Biden to relent to a meeting with bin Salman as US gasoline prices have spiraled to record high during his presidency. Though Saudi Arabia had previously declined to accelerate increase in its oil exports, the Financial Times reported on Thursday that the nation has indicated to Western allies that it is prepared to increase oil supply. Oil tumbled below $113 a barrel in Asian trading on Thursday following the report, which comes ahead of a monthly OPEC meeting at which the group is expected to ratify a modest increase in output for July. The FT report, citing people familiar with the talks, said Saudi Arabia may boost oil output should Russia's production fall substantially due to sanctions following its war in Ukraine. Saudi Arabia had previously argued that the energy crunch could get significantly worse later this year and believed it needed to keep spare production capacity in reserve. The Biden administration has said that world demand for crude is rebounding far faster than anticipated after the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we should remark that the falling or weak relationship between the US president and Saudi Crown Prince is in particular due to the slaying and disembarkment of Jamal Khashoggi, a US resident and Washington Post columnist in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Soon after he took office, Biden administration released and declassified report pinning blame for the murder on the Crown Prince. The prince has denied any involvement, though he said he accepts responsibility for the killing as Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler. Now, in our next story, President Biden demanded on Thursday that lawmakers respond to communities turned into killing fields by passing far-reaching limits on guns, calling on Congress to ban assault-style weapons, expand background check, and pass red flag laws after massacre in Texas and New York. In a rare evening address to the nation, Mr. Biden dared Republicans to ignore the repeated convulsions of anger and grief from gun violence by continuing to block gun control measures supported by large majorities in both parties and even among gun owners. My God, he declared from the Cross Hall, a ceremonial part of the White House residences, which was lined with candles in honors of victims of the gun violence. The fact that the majority of the Senate Republicans don't want any of these proposals even to be debated or come up for a vote, I find unconscionable. We can't fail the American people. Mr. Biden's speech came a day after a mass shooting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that killed 4 victims, and 9 days after a massacre in Uvalde, Texas, that took the life of 19 elementary school children and 2 school teachers. 10 days before that, 10 black people were gunned down in a grocery store in Buffalo. Now, in our final story on the Russian Ukrainian conflict, as the war in Ukraine marked its 100th day, countries are seeking to address the conflict's effect on access to food and oil. Mr. Macky Sall, the African Union's chairman, is all set to meet President Vladimir Putin of Russia on Friday at the Black Sea resort of Sochi. Mr. Sall will urge the Russian leader to lift his country's blockade on urgently needed cereal and fertilizer from Ukraine, as many of the world's poorest countries are facing alarming level of hunger and starvation. Coming back to the war, 1/5 of Ukrainian territory is now under Russia's control, with Donbass almost entirely destroyed, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said while addressing Luxembourg's lawmaker on Thursday. As of today, about 20% of our territory is under the control of the occupiers, almost 125,000 square kilometers. This area is much larger than the area of all the Benelux countries combined, Zelensky said to the Chamber of Deputies of Luxembourg via video link. Mr. Zelensky also said fighting continues along the front line that is stretched over more than 1,000 kilometers along the territories of Kharkiv region to Mykolaiv in the country's south. He added Ukraine's Donbass region is simply devastated, calling it one of the most powerful industrial centers in Europe. Now moving on to the health of Russian President Vladimir Putin's health is subject to intense conversation inside the Biden administration after the intelligence community produced its fourth comprehensive assessment during the end of May. The classified US report says Putin seems to have re-emerged after undergoing treatment in April for advanced cancer. The high-ranking official, who represents 3 separate intelligence agencies, are concerned that Putin is increasingly paranoid about his hold on power, a status that makes for a rocky and unpredictable course in Ukraine. But it is one that they say that also makes the prospect of nuclear war less likely. That was all for the major news update for June 3rd. Stay tuned for our next update on the ongoing world affairs. We hope that you find this video useful. If you like this video, hit like. And for a continued update on what's happening around the world, consider subscribing. And to never miss an update whenever we post something new, hit that bell icon. If you have any comments or any suggestions for us, please let us know in the comment sections below. Thank you.